Firearms were first developed in China in the 10th century. 1,000 years later, there are almost 1 billion guns in the world. Every year, more than 12 billion rounds of ammunition are manufactured. Nestled deep in the forests of Norway is one of the world's leading munitions manufacturers. Nammo have 120 years' experience producing ammunition. Their machines make some of the most advanced bullets on Earth, including the armor-piercing 50 caliber 12.7mm. And there's no hiding from this.
You and a shooter could be standing at opposite ends of a football pitch with 20 centimetres of reinforced concrete between you. That's about 8 inches, and this thing would still get you.
Most small caliber ammunition consists of a brass cartridge containing a primer, explosive propellant, and a solid metal projectile or bullet. When the firing pin hits the primer, it ignites the propellant, shooting the bullet down the barrel at up to 1,000 meters a second. But even at that speed, a lead or steel bullet can't penetrate modern armor. The solution, a bullet with a super hard tungsten carbide core.
If you want a bullet that can rip through metal, then you need to add mass. The best way you can do this is by using tungsten. A lump of tungsten the size of a tennis ball weighs about the same as a brick.
A projectile's destructive force depends on its speed, mass, and hardness. But tungsten carbide's too heavy and too hard to make up the entire bullet. So the tungsten carbide core is encased in steel and copper. This makes the bullet lighter, so it can reach the incredible speed needed to penetrate armored steel.
James Bond's the man with a golden gun might have looked cool, but he would have blown himself up on the first shot. The pressure in the chamber when you fire a gun is about 1,000 times the pressure in a car tire, and gold is way too soft to handle.
Each bullet consists of a tungsten carbide core, surrounded by a layer of steel, encased in a copper jacket with an incendiary tip that ignites on impact. The bullet then fits on the end of a brass cartridge, filled with propellant to fire it down the gun barrel. The first step in producing these armor-piercing bullets is to hollow out a 15mm steel rod. Daniel loads the rods of steel into a milling machine, which bores into each one to form a chamber ready for the heavyweight tungsten carbide core. Tungsten and steel are hard metals. If they were sent down the barrel of a gun, they'd damage the rifling, ruining its accuracy. The solution is to give each bullet a full metal jacket made from a softer metal. They load 40-metre-long rolls of 2mm thick copper into a giant press, which immediately goes to work punching out what look like small round caps. Because copper is a soft metal, it's easy to mould, but too much pressure could crack it. So the copper caps are slowly stretched in 4 stages, gradually becoming slimmer and longer. However, the end is flat, and a flat-headed bullet wouldn't be very fast. So the flat end is slowly shaped into a pointed tip.
There's a company in America that will make ammo out of a loved one's cremated ashes. They say that you can continue to protect your home and family even after you're gone.
To hit a moving target like an armoured vehicle, it helps to know where your shots are landing. So these bullets have another trick up their copper sleeve, a fiery one. Before the steel and carbide core is placed in its copper jacket, a machine loads 56 jackets into a grid. And Astrid places the grid under a tray holding incendiary powder. Made up of aluminium and magnesium, this charged powder ignites on impact, so a machine gunner can see exactly where each bullet hits. With the incendiary powder in place, Rita flips a tray of the hard cores into the copper jackets. All the separate elements, jacket, powder and core, now need to be sealed together to become one single projectile. a machine places a small lead disc in the open end of the bullet. And an eagle-eyed infrared sensor checks every bullet has a sealing disc. Then the back end of the copper jacket is pinched shut, encasing the tungsten carbide, steel, incendiary powder and copper casing together. Now, the armour-piercing projectile needs to be attached to the rest of the cartridge. It's the propellant in the main cartridge case which shoots this bullet out of the barrel. Brass cartridges, each fitted with a primer, are fed into this machine, which fills each one with a charge of nitrocellulose propellant. The bullets are then crimped into the cartridges, creating the finished 50 caliber round.
In 2009, a British sniper named Craig Harrison shot and killed 2 Taliban soldiers who were 2,475 meters away. That's 1.5 miles. It took the bullets almost 3 seconds to reach the target.
Each batch is rigorously tested. Time to lock and load. The team take aim at an armour plate 22 millimeters thick.
We are ready to fire. 3, 2, 1, fire.
Once fired, the bullet accelerates to 900 meters per second. That's almost 3 times the speed of sound. On impact, the incendiary powder bursts into flame. The copper and steel break up, and the tungsten carbide core cuts through the armour like a knife through butter. It's precisely what Program Manager Andreas wants to see.
So here we see the difference between an impact of a standard ball round compared to an armor-piercing round. And you see the ball round only creates a dent in the front of the plate, whilst the AP round that makes a clean penetration of the whole plate. This is the witness plate behind the 22mm armored steel plate. You see fragments here from the plate itself and also from the tungsten carbide penetrator.
Have you ever wondered where bullets go when people fire guns up into the air? A typical bullet will fall back to the earth at about 250 kilometers an hour. That's 160 miles an hour. If that hits you on the head, that's probably going to be the end of you. On the day Saddam Hussein's sons were killed, 20 people lost their lives from celebratory gunfire in Iraq.
But for those times when one shot just isn't enough, these armour-piercing rounds can be fired rapidly from machine guns. The secret is to join them together with steel loops using a linking machine. This connects the bullets into a continuous belt of 100 rounds. Shock and awe, made in Norway.